How's it going, guys? What's up? It's Delphim Alvaro here from hotghostwriter.com. Just coming literally with a last-minute interview with the man himself, John Robinson from worldwidejohn.com.
Yep.
Is that right? He's a really successful publisher, really good friend of mine. I met him last winter in Chiang Mai, and now we've actually met out here in Las Palmas, so we thought, why not get on video and record something awesome for you guys. I actually recorded a couple other videos as well. I don't know if those are going to come out before or after, but we got literally some content of me and John and another friend of us just talking business, Kindle Publishing, life in general, digital nomad stuff. So yeah, let's get right into it. Literally, this interview is going to be more based on like John's background, his upbringing, how he got to where he's at. He's a big inspiration for myself, and I know for a lot of guys out there who already subscribe to his channel. And yeah, let's get right into it. So welcome, John.
Thanks.
Welcome to the channel, man.
Glad we could fit in this last-minute interview. It's literally like 1 in the morning right now, but
yeah, exactly.
Shipping out tomorrow, so
yeah. Literally, I'm flying out tomorrow to the north of Spain, so I thought, yeah, let's just get on a quick video. So yeah, tell me, man. So literally, first, just keep it nice and informal. Like, tell me about your upbringing, your background, and everything. Like,
let's see. Family of 5 kids, and my dad was an entrepreneur.
Oh, nice.
He started his own chiropractic business.
Okay.
Must have been 30, 40 years ago at this point. But then he got into programming, and that kind of, in the 90s, he really got into PCs and everything, so we had a PC right around like 95.
Oh, wow.
So that's when I started like tinkering with developing websites, HTML, and doing some like graphic design and stuff, all the way back when I was a kid. So
nice.
All through school, I would just sketch. My entire high school career, even middle school, was just sketching.
Nice.
I really didn't focus on much else, but I really developed that skill, sketching, and I would just spend all my free time just like doing graphic design. It was about that time when I started to really get into like writing up business plans and stuff. Maybe when I was...
Oh, and how did you get into that? Like, from the sketching side, was it your dad's influence?
Well, they kind of developed at the same time.
Okay.
I remember in high school, like I just hated school. Like I didn't focus on any of my classes. And I always had this idea that I would create a business that I could like travel anywhere in the world. Like this, this idea was in my head,
right? Probably
since I was 14. So I had an idea for like a t-shirt business back then. And this was before I knew anything about online marketing as I understand it today.
Yeah. Like
actually how to sell things. So what I learned traditionally, like I would Google everything even back then, was I need a business plan, And then I bought a screen printing machine. It wasn't like a huge one.
How old were you at this time?
Oh, this was like one from a Michael's, like a craft store. Okay. So you can only print out one shirt at a time.
Okay.
But I think I was maybe 16 or 17 at the time.
Cool.
But I would always...
T-shirt business, yeah.
Yeah, I would always be like obsessed with these ideas of starting my own businesses or just always creating something.
Yeah.
But I had this big idea because I ended up going off to college.
Right.
And I never really was passionate about the idea of college because I could barely get through high school. Yeah. Like I didn't study for anything. Yeah. And so to just jump into a school at that time, that's even tougher.
That didn't make sense to you, didn't excite you.
So my first scheme was that I would fly off with my screen printer and kind of go to community college in Hawaii.
Nice.
and then from there I don't know what I would do at that point, but I always had the idea I just wanted to travel really far away, because once you're that far away, there's nothing
holding you back? Or?
Well, you can't just go back, ask your parents or anybody else for money just to like bail you out. Like there's a huge distance between you, and that's kind of a psychological distance as well.
Right.
Because then you're like, you start to become more self-independent at that point.
Right.
But that plan didn't really get off the ground. So I went to college in Michigan. My uncle kind of offered us a deal if we went to a Christian college. And this was the same college that both of my brothers went to.
Okay.
So I was just kind of like, follow the leader kind of thing.
Right.
And I initially started studying graphic design.
Okay.
But then I realized graphic designers aren't exactly the ones that are making all the money. It's if I could tie that in with business somehow, I could, save up for the future while kind of being connected to the graphic design elements as well. So I wanted to get into marketing or be an art director or something.
Okay.
And then I studied abroad in China, and then I became obsessed with this idea, like, wait, I could tie this in with international business too. So I kind of transitioned to that, marketing and international business, but then I transferred schools to a public school because the small private Christian college just wasn't for me, and my financial aid kind of got cut out from under me after the first semester or two. So I just got in this really desperate position. Where I was just stuck in the middle of Michigan with no college degree, like no real hope, and I still hadn't figured out this like make money online thing. So I ended up working for a big corporation through my friend Sashank. Shanky Travels.
Plug him in, man.
ShankyShow.com. My good friend from college, he ended up getting me a job through his uncle's company.
Is that the job that you like? Where did because we were talking about this. I've got a video. We actually recorded part of it, and we were like talking about like how obsession and hatred for your current situation is usually is for me, and you agreed, you said as well for you. For me, it's like one of the main motivators that will get me from point A to point B. Like when I was at my last job, it was the hate that I had for that place that made me want to, made me go home, and even though it's 11 o'clock at night, and I've just come back from work, put another 4 or 5 hours on my Kindle Publishing business simply because I hated my job so much. So we were talking about this. Is that the job where the hatred began, or?
Yeah, so that's where it all began.
So tell me about that.
That's where the next. Well, it was in Minneapolis, and at that time I went to school in Michigan, and it's just the frigid cold adds another degree to the miserableness. And like Michigan is okay. It's still cold, but there's snow to kind of ventilate it. Okay. And I don't know if that makes sense, but in Minneapolis, like these are long winters, like 6-7 months out of the year. It's just below freezing.
Oh wow!
And this is cold where you need like a face mask kind of thing.
Whoa!
And on some days in January or February, but I worked there. I was working there for about a year, and even during the point before I first got that initial job, right after I dropped out of college, like my second time, I was just watching these videos all the time. I don't know if anybody out there watching knows Elliot Hulse.
Oh yeah. I know Elliot Hulse.
He introduced me to
Elliot, like the light skinned dude. He's cool, man.
I must have watched every.
So what? Because usually the videos I've seen about him are like workout stuff, or like he talks about like being an alpha male. What kind of videos were these? Like what?
These were like a lot of like his Yo Elliot back when he was just putting out 4 videos a day.
Okay.
But a lot of them were just about like how to be a better version of yourself. Like that's his copyrighted be the strongest version of yourself. And so he would always recommend these books that I'd read. I would just like be reading them, be just dead broke, and just trying to like figure something out, like trying to make something happen and get out of
But what got you to that stage though? So what made you go from, because I mean I can kind of have a moment that I can pinpoint going from, because I don't know about you, but for instance for me, I never read, like before reading business books, never read anything. No one in my family read, no one around me read anything. So going from the point that I was actually reading, or not even just reading, but indulging in those type of videos, because usually, you know, people were watching other random stuff. So what made you actually start watching those type of videos, and you know what triggered that?
I think it was.
So was it the situation, so the cold and everything, and then you start, what made you start actually looking for an alternative? How did you know that there was an alternative?
Well, ever since I was younger, like I've always obsessed about the idea of making money online, or creating an online business. I've been talking about it for so long, but I just never knew like how to start.
Right.
And I just started by watching Elliot, and there were a couple other people who were successful online. It's like, it's just some guy on the internet, but he's making hundreds of thousands of dollars every year.
Sure. So did you go and type how to make money online or something like that? Or?
I think I was doing that right after I dropped out.
Right.
And I remember actually stumbling across a guy who's, one of his videos, who's been in my mastermind for like 2 years now.
So you watched one of his videos?
Yeah.
Right out of college?
Well, this was like after I dropped out because I couldn't afford to keep paying, and I was still locked into my lease.
Right.
So I was still in the same city and everything, and just working at a hotel, just setting up for like different events. I was like carrying the big tables. It was like the most miserable thing. And I was barely above broke. And so I did Google like how to make money online. And I ran into a couple things on Reddit about like, you know, I make X amount selling romance books on Kindle, and it was just, that was such a weird way to make money, but I was always so broke that to spend an extra like $50 just to invest in a book and not know if it'll work, because there's so many scams out there that they say, oh yeah, you just drop in $50 and then do some promotion and you'll make your money back. But when you only have a few $100s to your name, you're not going to drop it that easily.
Right.
So I did see some of those videos back then, but I never really got into it just because I didn't have the capital.
Okay, so you saw some videos on publishing when you first, and what year was this? Do you have an idea?
Let's see, if I was 15, I want to say 2013 maybe.
Okay. Wow, that's early, man. 2013.
Yeah, but I never
didn't have the capital to actually jump in.
Yeah.
That was when it was like virgin still, right? I mean, kind of.
Right.
Just like the first guys.
It's the same
thing.
Stefan
Pillarino's time, right? Pillarino's time. Right?
When it was just like so easy to make money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy now, but now you have to be a little smarter about it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it takes a little bit more strategy, and it's the stuff we talk about, which we're gonna get there anyway. But yeah, cool. So tell me, so you continued, and you were watching Elliot Hulse. You found out about publishing 2013, and then basically, what was the transition after that? So what was your first online business? Was it Kindle Publishing, the first thing you did? Yeah.
So after that, I was working at my job for a while, and it's just high pressure corporate IT in the dead of winter, and so you're just like, I was just looking at data all day, every day, and this isn't. It's something I can do, but not necessarily something I ever imagined myself doing.
Right. How were you feeling, man? What were you thinking every morning on your way to work? What was running through your mind?
Well, I was making some pretty decent money to start paying off like my credit card debts and stuff. So I was in a better position than I was in Michigan. So I was like, okay, I'm one step forward,
Right.
And so I was just like, for about a year, I was just kind of dealing with the misery, and I always was still watching these videos by Elliot and other people, but I never really took that much action until my second year there. It must have been January. I took this course, I had one of these online marketers who I was subscribed to for the longest time, and I would like read some of their blog articles sometimes.
Right.
But he was selling a $2,000 course about how to start an online business.
Right.
And I was like, okay, I've seen these $79 courses, $67 courses. But I've been following this guy for a while, and now he's selling me a $2,000 course, this can't be a scam. You know, why?
Oh, wow. Shows the psychology behind pricing, huh? That's interesting.
Yeah, I was like, is somebody so confident that they would even dare to say this is worth $2,000?
Yeah, because we were talking about this as well.
Yeah.
Like pricing a course and everything, and you were mentioning, the difference from if you're pricing a course at like $50 or whatever, the type of people you're going to attract. But anyway, that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
So just put that in there.
Yeah, so I saw that he had like a 60-day refund.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this out, and if I'm not seeing the results that I want to see, then I'm just gonna get the refund. And I did end up doing that. And a lot of people watching this video might get a little angry at this concept. So I don't do this today, but a light bulb went off in my head at that point. Like, wow, I could just take all of these courses, get the refunds, and just whenever something hits, I'll just keep that course. And so I tried.
Which is fair. Nothing wrong with that. You mentioned if it works, once something works, then you're not going to refund it. But yeah, if you buy a course and you don't get the results, if you actually put into practice what they're teaching and you don't get the results, I think it's okay to get a refund.
Yeah.
But
so I did that. I tried back when Teespring was big.
Yeah.
Tried to run some Facebook ads to some T-shirts, and I think I tried some pay-per-click ads and stuff. All these things work, but I just wasn't seeing results as instantly as I wanted them. And then I signed up for K-Money Mastery.
Shout out to Stefan Pederinos. You're the man, Stefan. He's changed his name now to Stefan J.
But yeah, I actually bought his course on Udemy.
Oh,
and
wow.
There was some. It wasn't updated for a while or something, so I messaged him about it, and he was like, "Oh, I haven't used that course for a long time. I actually have an entire kmoneymastery.com kind of course set up on his own website." So I did that, and I went through, and I remember back then the way that he was teaching books how to do his example, or how to do books. His example book was.
Was it a meditation book?
It was about gambling.
Oh.
How to stop gambling.
And there was the smoking one as well. Did you see that one? How to quit smoking or something?
I think so. This was back when he was doing these really corny kind of how to quit gambling, how to quit alcohol addiction.
Yeah.
And the way that he would teach was you want to find something that's a chronic problem that somebody wants to treat. And so I made a huge list of all these book ideas, and this was all after work. After that first one, after the first course I took, I was just committed to quitting my job by the end of the year. I was just I need to make this happen. I'm going to do whatever it takes to just
to make things work.
Yeah, to get out of here. And so the first couple books I published, I made a series by this one pen name. One was a cellulite book, how to remove cellulite.
Okay.
And one was a how to remove stretch marks book.
Okay.
And I boxed them together and stuff.
Yeah.
But I made a few dollars within just 72 hours or something.
Right.
And I was like, whoa,
so results.
I'm not even that good yet, This was a crappy cover, and it was just a short little ebook, 5,000 words maybe. But after that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna basically put up to $500 into invest it every single month into whatever I can to like get something off the ground.
And just to add something, just in case for people, especially people that are now being introduced to Kindle Publishing, I mean, like you said before, you know, where you could get a book for $50, that's not really possible anymore. I mean, like right now, you know, Kindle, it's still an extremely profitable business opportunity, but it definitely, the focus now is quality. I mean, 2013, 2012, people could put out crappy books, 5,000 words, and make sales. That's not going to happen right now. Like, you need to come in with quality. It's all about, you know, you need to be strategic with it. You need to ensure that you're actually putting out good content, you know, because very quickly your book will just absolutely tumble. So so people get that kind of, you know, like mentality of, yeah, I'm going to start and invest $50. That's, you know, it's no longer possible. Would you agree? I mean, a $50 book. Like,
if you put a book out like that, you'll get some sales, and you could probably even promote it with like a promotion service. And get a lot of buys, but it's gonna fall off really quick.
Instantly.
Because you're gonna get a lot of bad reviews instantly once once people see that it's like a pamphlet.
And if the content isn't good, I mean, right now, nowadays, to have a consistent income, you know, a solid business, the focus has to be on quality. So the content, you know, the cover, the description, your keyword selection, quality. The more quality it is, the more long-term, you know, you're going to make money, because your book is going to get good reviews, your book's going to be consistent with sales, you know, the consistency in sales is going to keep you up high on the rank, and it's just, you know, it all plays off well long-term. Now, if you come in, you know, you like you said, you can make some quick dollars here and there, but you'll be, you know, publishing new books every week just to try and, you know, keep an income, or let's say. So yeah, just keep that in mind. I just want to kind of, so people don't have that perception of, oh yeah, let me get a $50 book. Like, dude, if that's your approach, don't even bother. Like, it's a different time now. It's all about quality. But yeah.
Well, and that's kind of what Stefan says in his courses. He tries to get people to start off with the smallest investment.
Yeah, which makes sense. Yeah,
and
I understand that.
Just to get results immediately. And I mean, you might not have the best seller, but like in my position, if you see a few dollars start to pop in,
it gets you excited about it. No, I get that. Cool, good stuff. So you got your first couple of books out, making some money, you were pumped, so you decided, I'm going to put $500. Try to scale this business. And what happened? Tell me, what was the turning point? Because you said you were committed. There's some keywords which I'm going to talk about at the end. But yeah, so what happened? So
I started to spend basically every waking hour just working on Kindle, just trying to scale that. Even on the weekends, I stopped going out so much, and every Saturday I was up by 8 o'clock, go to the local bread company. In the US, it's a chain, and just work on Kindle, or usually I would be reading a book to try to like change my mindset, because I was thinking there's a lot of things during that first year that marketers, including Stefan, taught me that I think that was probably one of the years of my life that my mindset shifted so much in terms of how business can work, and how money works, and how I was taught about money, that kind of thing. But I just kept repeating the process and testing different niches, and tried to build up a few pen names. And then I got into building up email lists a little bit. I didn't really take that too far my first year, but then I heard that there's this whole huge gold rush in romance books. And so a lot of the people in my mastermind, like, we all switched to romance just because there was like a crazy amount of money to be made. And so by the end of that year, I hit like 5,000. That was my goal, to hit 5,000. Yeah, so I quit my job at the end of 2015, and that's when I started traveling and stuff.
And how, remind me of, do you remember the day you quit? and what you were thinking or what you were feeling?
Yeah, it was like all of that. Like, it's too late to go back now. It's like I just walked out of this door for the last time. This representation of everything that I've hated is now behind me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so I was just in Minneapolis for a few more days, but it was a good feeling.
Yeah.
Especially when you're so obsessed with getting out of something for so long, and working for like, ever since I started Kindle, it was March 2015.
Yeah.
Just spending every waking hour doing whatever is possible to make it happen, and then finally it happens at the end of the year, and you're just like...
Man, I get chills, man, just thinking about it, just because, you know, it, like we were talking about, it's the same thing for me, like, and there's 3 keywords which I'm gonna, you know, just, we'll talk about it, and, you know, we can even jumble on, talk about it a little bit, chit-chat a little bit about it, like, the 3 keywords for me are obsession, hatred, and the third one, commitment.
Yeah.
I think those 3, man, that's those, if you can use those 3 words in your life, man, it's impossible to not succeed, like, literally. Yeah. So tell me, so then you went traveling, and is that when you started traveling, you left your job?
Yeah, so I left my job, actually, maybe about 2 months before. I already booked my flight to Cancun. Nice. And so, like, it was a one-way ticket. And I didn't...
One-way ticket. Oh, I love it,
I didn't tell anyone at work or everything. I was just... I just kept pumping out the work until the very end, and I just emailed my boss one day, 2 weeks before, like, telling him the situation. Hey, you know, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. Thanks, it's been a wonderful experience, something like that. And he pulls me in after the team meeting, like, John, could you stick around for a few minutes? He's just looking at me so dumbfounded, like, nobody expected that to happen. And then I went on to explain that I had been secretly building a business
on the side
the entire year. So, but we ended things on a great note.
That's awesome. And what do you have to say for people like just getting started? You know, maybe they have a few books, or, you know, they're trying to scale their business, or maybe they're brand new. Like, what do you think? Do you think it's still a great business to start in 2018? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, part of it is to start thinking of it as a business from the very beginning.
Right.
Because some people will go on, especially like doing these crappy little $50 books for the longest time and not seeing a huge return. But when you see these people post in a Facebook group like, oh, I made a couple $100 or $1,000 with this book, like, those results are possible. Absolutely. But you just have to, like, I always like to use this metaphor, is you have to shift the sandbox that you're playing in. Like, are you going to play in the $50 books sandbox, or are you going to, like, shift to the $100, $200? Because that's where the real money's at.
Absolutely. Come to Hot Ghost Rider, we got $300 books.
It's like $400 tomorrow.
But yeah, $400 tomorrow, absolutely. Because, again, the focus is on quality, like, we know what's needed. You know, focusing on keyword research, focusing on, you know, books that are actually going to help the reader, man. That's how you make money long term. I mean, I've had some books that I published 2 years ago that still continuously make me money because the content is good. Like, it may drop off for a while. You know, I run a promotion or two and it's back there and it's selling again for months, just, you know, making me money every single month. So what you're saying is it's definitely still a good business for people to get involved in. They just need to, you know.
I mean, if it depends on what your priority is. If your goal is to make as much money, like to quit your job as soon as possible, then also don't get married to a specific niche or category. Like, for example, I don't think I would have ever been able to quit had I not jumped into romance a few months before I quit, because I started to pull in like a lot of money just in that moment. But
Sure.
since then I've switched like back to nonfiction
Sure.
because now I know a little more about the market, but I also know how to build a business a little better, or a
Sure.
publishing business at least.
Sure. And on that note, what would be your top strategy? So we had Tuan Lu on a call a couple of days ago. Shout out to Tuan Lu, and he had some really good ideas. What would be your top 3, 4, whatever strategies that people or key areas that people should focus on to have to build a successful business with publishing in 2018?
Well, one I would say is to not dismiss other platforms,
Okay.
because I have tried out like with CreateSpace books, but also Kindle books. Let's see, drafttodigital.com. It's like an aggregate publisher.
Yep.
But there's also one, Pronoun, which is shutting down soon.
Yeah, I heard about that.
But you can also publish on Google Play and Barnes & Noble Nook directly, and you'll get a bigger commission. But
What would you say is the vision? So, because I'm sure people would want to know. So let's say out of your books, what percentage would be from Amazon? So Amazon being Kindle and CreateSpace.
yeah,
And what would be everything else? ACX, Smashwords, Draft to Digital, all that stuff.
33 across the board. So with Kindle, CreateSpace, like 33%, Audible and maybe Authors Republic 33, and all of the rest 33.
Oh wow!
It's kind of split evenly. So I'm just gonna try to diversify my income streams a little bit and not be so dependent on this one Amazon.
Well, that's a good point. So what would your publishing strategy look like? Because, for instance, with me, the way I teach in my book and just the way, I personally go about
Yeah.
my publishing is I make a lot of use of the free promotion. And if you only get the KDP Select free promotion if you're exclusive to Kindle. So it's KDP Select, you have to keep it exclusive for 90 days. And if you want to make use of the free promotion again or re-enroll to KDP Select, that's another 90 days. So essentially, as long as you have your book in KDP Select to be able to use the free promotion, you're unable to publish in other platforms, that's digital platforms. So Smashwords, Draft to Digital, you still can use ACX and Audio and CreateSpace, but just for the digital. So what are you doing? Are you going straight into all platforms? You're not using the free promo?
No, I mean, I have a lot of retired books that I just, and pen names and niches that I just like don't even deal with anymore. So once I've gotten to the point where I don't want to spend the extra time to like study that niche or keep focusing on keywords for some of my old romance books or some of my old self-help books, it's like I'll just throw them onto the other aggregate publishers just to like kind of build up that other income stream. If you do have a new book and you're trying to build a pen name and an email list, starting off strong with Amazon is the best way.
And how do you use the free promo?
With KDP Select.
As in, what's your strategy when you, for instance, with me, you'll be putting out a new book, you have the first 5 to 7 days to bring in sales and reviews, then go through the free promo, and then I like to split my promo 2-1-1, so every month the book will go under a free promo, so 2 days, 1 day, 1 day, 3 days, 2-2-1, so 2 days, 2 days, 1 day, because you get 5 days for every 90-day period. So if you understand what I mean. So
Yeah.
I don't know, how do you kind of use it?
I would just do the 5 days usually.
Okay, so the entire
Or
5
split
days.
it 3 and 2, and then run a couple promotions within the first one and run a couple promos with the second.
So yeah, so your first tip, which was really good, man, is to not dismiss other platforms. What other tips or strategies?
I think one could be think outside the box in terms of
That's good.
what a book can be. I'll give you one that was really popular a couple of years ago at Christmas. It was adult coloring books.
Right.
And those just sold like hotcakes, like on CreateSpace and everywhere else. But then people came up with the idea of like creating adult coloring books with curse words.
Yeah, the adult
The adult coloring books, but like that's kind of an example. If you're making a Create Space book, you wouldn't immediately think that it should be a coloring book. And actually, there's been people that have realized that you can do like zero content books as well, selling like diaries and journals. Christian journals is I actually never got into that, but I thought about testing it out. Daily kind of blessing journals, that kind of thing. But it's taking advantage of the fact that Create Space will print whatever you want on their books, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a book with 10,000 words. It can be something that's printed on paper, but
that's big, man. That's big. And if you had one more, doesn't have to be as, whatever comes to mind. So we've got don't dismiss other platforms, think outside the box, which is huge. And what would be another thing for, let's say newbies, because maybe these are a little bit more advanced. For a newbie, for someone new, what would be your biggest tip or advice? It doesn't have to be a strategy, just you've got someone in front of you, they've got one book out, it's not really doing well, and they want to succeed with Kindle. What would be your biggest tip?
Well, if you wouldn't buy it, then don't try to sell it, I guess.
If you wouldn't buy it, don't try to sell it.
Because a lot of people will, and I think it'll be a kind of confirmation bias, that they'll read their own books and maybe the grammar isn't that good, or just the quality of the writing is just like mediocre, and they probably wouldn't sit down, even if they were interested in the topic, they probably wouldn't sit down in their free time and read that book just because it's so crappy. So if there's a reason your sales are really low, it's probably because of that. I mean, obviously there's your cover and your keywords and all that stuff, but at the end of the day it does come down to content, and that's the only way you create repeat customers.
And that was, man, your tips were huge, massive, man. And just to finish up, so a couple of questions. I know I asked Tuan Lu the same. Check out the interview with Tuan Lu as well. He had some really good insights as well. It's on my channel. So a couple of tips on reviews. What would be the best way to go about reviews in 2018? And email lists, are they overrated or not?
No, I think actually that's a big point, because if you have a huge email list but you're not actively using it, then it's going to be a waste of money every month. But if you build a street team, for example, 25 people, that they get a free copy of your book, or like they get notified whenever you have a free promo. It could be 25 people or 50 people, but that's 25 reviews. That's not a Filipino VA.
So just link them both together. So that's amazing. So I guess that's your answer to the first question. Best strategy for reviews in 2018? Would you say it's the mailing list? What about for someone that's starting now and doesn't have a mailing list? What would be, so long term, build that email list, get a list of 25, 50 people, keep them engaged, send them your book when it's free, in exchange for a review. And so for someone that doesn't have a email list, what would be an review strategy?
I know a lot of people still do review swaps.
Okay.
So I won't necessarily say like you should, but you shouldn't avoid it just to get started. I could also tell you to like go through related Facebook groups. Like if you're selling a fishing book, go say, hey, I'm putting out this new book. If you want to
get it for free.
Get it for free, and like just give me an honest review, then that would be awesome.
That's awesome.
Same with like Goodreads.com. You could go to readers who read fishing books all the time and but yeah, I mean, review swaps are the easiest. So
cool.
And there's so many people doing it that if you get plucked out of the crowd, it's kind of, usually they give you second chances, but
because everyone's doing it.
Yeah, but you have to be pretty careful about
Yeah, be careful with that.
and
Yeah.
make sure they're using some VPNs that haven't already been brought under the target by Amazon.
Well, man, we got some great stuff. I mean, that was amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. So, we know John's story. Again, 3 keywords to keep in mind: committed, hatred, obsession. Introduce those to your life, business life, personal life, man. You're gonna kill it. That's just how it is. And his 3 big ideas were: do not dismiss other platforms. So you've got Draft to Digital, you've got Smashword, you've got ACX, you've got Authors Republic.
And let me just throw something else on there too. Is even with audiobooks, I have published some on CreateSpace as CDs, and also CD Baby, and I've made like several $100s off of those as well. But most people wouldn't think, oh, I can just publish my audiobook on a streaming service, or I can just publish it as a CD. So,
and that goes in perfectly with idea number 2, which is think outside the box. I mean, you can clearly see, John, you're playing at a different level here, man. Thinking outside the box, that goes perfectly with what you just said. And the third and final idea is, if you wouldn't buy it, don't sell it. And you heard his feedback on reviews, so swaps, again, everyone's doing it. Be careful with it. You also got related groups. And then for an email list, he sees it as useful. You can use an email list for reviews as well, and again, promoting books, getting that first pump, those first 25, 50, 100 sales, depending on how many people are on your email list. And just to finish off, man, where can people find you? What are you working on? What are you doing? I'm going to link you in the description, but where can people find John Robinson, the killer, man?
worldwidejohn.com. I've done quite a bit of vlogs in the past, and I'd like to get back into videos. I haven't done too many lately, but a lot of travel videos.
So subscribe to his channel, man. I'm sure he's gonna be heading back to Chiang Mai soon. Now you're off to. So where are you off to now? In a couple of days.
This month I'll be heading to Serbia, then Israel for Christmas, Athens for New Year's, and back to Chiang Mai to get my grind on. So
that's it. So anyone that's gonna be in Chiang Mai, what months?
At least January. Probably February too. I'm thinking March.
Cool. So maybe if you're there, you can get in touch. They can get in touch with you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's gonna be out there killing it. I'll be around as well. So yeah, guys, make sure you check out his channel, check out his content. Man, it's been an awesome chat. Absolutely loved it. Thank you for having you, John. And
glad to be here.
You know me, Delphin Malvaro from hotghostwriter.com. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't. Comment, let me know what you think, man. I just want to keep it raw here. I don't want to be like too formal or anything like that. Just give it to you how it is, and let me know if you guys appreciate it, if you guys like the style of these videos, and keep in touch. Let's go.